Oh, would you believe one has just shown right in front? Oh, I'm so confident right now. Time to announce the latest winner. Absolute monster.
The biggest disaster I think I've ever had while on the bank.
Well, that's where all my fish have come from so far, so we are properly tucked in the wilderness today.
Oh God, that's so good.
What an absolute result that was. Well, today you join me fishing in the wilderness. I'm on a mega lake in the Cotswolds. It's a 30-acre big pit and it's quite low stocked. It's got some absolute mega ones in here. And last year I was quite fortunate to catch a few of them. There are some bigger ones though, and plenty more to go at that I haven't caught yet. So I am raring to try and catch a few out of here this year. I've already done a session on it this year. Unfortunately, that was a blank. Hugh's been up here as well when he has blanked, but I've come up for another go. I've seen some fish showing, quite a few actually, for considering a stock, and I've managed to get around to them. So I've not done any other filming because I really want to try and get the rods out before it gets dark, find some nice areas and get the rods in position and absolute prime for a bite. So let's crack on, let's get the rods sorted, let's get everything out in the pond. Let's catch one of these mega wild nomad carp in this absolute wilderness of a lake, and let's see if we can catch a banger. Let's get on with it. Getting munched. Something he's going to have to go back on in a minute. And getting eaten already. Right, I've just been doing a bit of leading around out towards where I've seen the fish show. There's been a lot of fish showing, and I've just found an absolute rock hard spot. Oh, it goes down insanely good. A lot of my fishing on here has been on the silt, because to be honest, the clear spots do attract the crayfish, but it's something I haven't really been doing. There's obviously a reason they want to be here. I'm not sure what it is. Oh God, that's so good. That's harder, that bit, yeah. Thing is, it's like pea gravel. It's not even like big lumps of gravel. It's really nice gravel. Very nice area, that. I've just put the rod rests in. I've got to have them out in the water a bit, just because of the marginal structure to my left and right. In case the fish ends up kiting, I need the rods out, obviously, so I don't get hung up in anything. But the tactics, I'm putting 2 rods out onto the spot I found, and it's literally leg clip, no tubing. I've done away with anything tungsten, so I've just got a standard anti-tangle sleeve. 4-ounce lead. This is tungsten loaded, this rig material, which might be a bit risky, but so far I've not had any issues with it, and it is my favourite, to be honest. It sinks without any additional weight, and the thing is, I don't want to use any sort of tungsten weighted beads or anything like that, because the crayfish will just eat them, and there's absolute stacks of them in here, because it used to be a crayfish farm. The hook bait is pretty much the same on both, but this one's a pink, the other one's a yellow. So I've got an 18mm hardened hook bait, that's a bug 18mm, and then I've got a plastic pink topper on there which has been soaking in the bug intense sweetener, or intense liquid, whatever it's called, boost liquid. Size 4 wide gape, and that is it. Basic hair rig, very simple, but I want as little clutter on my rig, so there's as little as possible that the crayfish can mess around with. And that's a snowman, that literally will just sit lovely on the bottom, just sits nice and proud over the lake bed, which hopefully the carp are going to come in an absolutely nail. So it's done me good so far. Anyway, let's get them out. I can actually cast from the bank, luckily. So I've got it wrapped up from the bank. So what I'm going to do is get them out onto the money maker, and hopefully a fish will follow. Okay, I cast that short. I tried to flick that and wasn't enough of a flick. Don't know why I cast like that sometimes. Try and cast a little bit more softly and then you just miss the clip. It's like, just chuck it out there. That went out nice. I went out nice, but I did not like that drop. Damn. Can't believe how long that took me to get that rod out. But at the end of the day, you've got to know it feels right. It's pointless just chucking a rod out on a pit like this and just hoping for the best. Well, I've got 2 rods out in the pond and I found a lovely, lovely firm spot. Now, normally I don't fish on firm ground in here because there is a huge amount of crayfish. It used to be a crayfish farm, and yeah, they can cause a lot of issues, and they do love that firmer ground. That said though, the spot I found, there's a lot of weed around it, and there's a lot of fish showing it in the area. It's almost bang in the middle of where the fish seem to be showing. Now, it's not a small spot at all. It's actually quite a large area of sort of firmer ground. So what I've done is I've just sent 2 rods out in that area at the same distance, but I fished them quite wide apart, probably a few rod lengths apart, and then I have just spread bait over the top of them. So I've sent the rods, sent the spot out at the same range the rods are clipped up at, and then I've actually taken a little bit off, put a little bit further and a little bit shorter, so that way there's just a load of bait spread around, and hopefully if some fish come in the area, well, there's fish out there for sure, so if they move on to that spot, hopefully they'll be moving around from boilie to boilie, just sucking them up as they go, dropping down, sucking one up, uprighting it south, moving to the next one, and hopefully if they find my rig, they're going to drop down, suck it up, upright themselves. That's going to straighten the hook length, and then bang, it's going to nail them in the face. So that's the tactic. It is a proper sort of big pit, sort of big fish style boilie sort of method, and it does work well, and it's worked for many, many years. I've caught a lot of fish on it, and it's actually a really confident tactic of mine. So that's what I've done. I've probably put a couple of kilo of boilie out, just 18 millers. There is a little bit of insect meal and plenty of liquids been soaking into them. I've actually had them soaking for about 24 hours, and then I just chucked a load of insect meal over them before I come out and gave them a good dusting of that. So that's all soaked in, got all sticky, and that's all gone out there. So loads of attraction, even though it is just boilie. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I've got 2 rods on that, both on snowmen. And then I've got 1 rod sat next to me at the moment, which I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with it, but I'm probably going to fish it as a roving rod and just cast it around, because I've seen a lot of fish showing, and I think there's a chance I might be able to fish a rod, maybe with a little mesh bag, maybe even a zig, just sort of cast it around as I see fish show, and maybe nick one doing that. It is going to get dark within the next probably hour, and it is supposed to rain pretty bad when that happens, so it might only be for the next sort of hour that I do that tactic, and then maybe I'll just sort of move it to a zone, or maybe fish it short and just put a little bit of bait over the top of it. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm babbling a little bit. That's what I'm doing. I need to try and get something done, so I'm going to see if I can see a fish show. If I do, I'm going to send that rod out to it, and hopefully it produces a bite. But I'm very confident. There's a lot of fish showing, and I'm on them for sure, so location is absolutely bang on. So let's hope it goes rattling off. Right, well, it looks like the weather's about to land. It has gone pretty miserable out there. It's not really focused in on it very well, but the light level's starting to go. The clouds are coming over, and I think
we are about to get absolutely rained on by that absolute monster of a cloud over there. It's definitely coming this way. We are properly tucked in the wilderness today. It is lovely, properly in the country, love it. Other than the road over the back, unfortunately, because it's such a big road, it is a bit noisy. But if that wasn't there, it would feel really, really tranquil. But you might be able to see, there's this fallen tree here. I'm just sort of tucked in. There is a little bit of a swim. It's a little bit sort of barked down on the bottom, just to allow for the drainage of the water, because we get so much rain now. They have sort of taken that into account, because the swims and the banks and stuff just get absolutely ruined. So they have actually made a little bit of a barked off area, so it's not so bad. But yeah, it feels properly sort of tucked away, sort of surrounded by trees, and sort of literally sort of buried in the undergrowth, really. So it's nice, lovely place to fish this. Absolutely love it. But yeah, that storm is definitely on its way. You can see it's getting really dark when I face the camera that way. So we shall see what happens. But anyway, it's time to crack open a tin, get some food on the go, and I still haven't decided what to do with a third rod. But for now, yeah, they're probably going to have to hide in the brolly and get out of the way of this big storm, because I'm pretty sure we're about to get pretty wet. Right, this weather is really making it dark now, but this is the third rod, so I'm going to use this as a rover and just cast it around different areas. So I've got the same rig really. I've gone for a slightly smaller hook bait, so I've got a 15mm hardened hook bait and then a 12mm plastic pop-up on there. And again, same sort of hair rig, very simple. And then I've got a stick, so this is a PVA stick of Bug and S7 Boilie Crumb. I've also got some the new heavy crayfish ground bait and stick mix in there. I've absolutely laced it with the amino smoke and also some of the crayfish hydro spod syrup, and there's also some chili hemp oil in there as well. So 3 different liquids, loads of attraction. It absolutely stinks. I can guarantee you it is going to attract a crayfish very, very quickly. But I'm going to be using this as a roving rod and just moving it around different areas. And the first thing I want to do is cast one out towards the island, because there's been a couple of fish moving around that island and there is some very shallow ground out there. So what I'm going to do is just lob it out there for a few hours or maybe an hour, and if it doesn't go, I'm going to just recast it to different places. That is absolutely perfect. Right on the edge of that island. Because it's not a big bed of bait, it shouldn't get the crayfish on it too quickly, unless I've just dropped it in a crayfish hole, which is very likely. Right, that is the 3 rods out then. So I've got 2 on a spot out that direction. I've got at the moment the left rod out towards the edge of this island out here, because I've seen a few fish showing in the shallower area of the margin of that island. So I've sent one out towards there. That is on a single, just with a PVA stick. The likelihood is the crayfish will get on that really quickly, because it absolutely stinks. But I'm only going to be leaving it for maybe an hour or so at the most before moving it again. And then when I get in the bag to get some sleep, I might potentially just put it to an area where I've seen the most activity. If it's a sensible distance for the catapult, I will just catapult a handful of baits around it. If not, I might just move it out to where the other 2 rods are and just have 3 out towards where that main bit of bait is. But for the time being, I've still got a good few hours to cast that around before I'm probably going to be getting some sleep. So for now, I'm going to just keep moving it around as and when, and hopefully it'll land on a fish or in an area where there's a few fish and go rattling off. I have just had an absolute disaster. I mean, probably the biggest disaster I think I've ever had while on the bank. I literally can't think of anything worse, if I'm quite honest with you. It's just started raining, so I sort of got underneath the brolly out of the weather, and to be fair, I had a bit of food on the go, was just sort of watching the water, looking for sort of signs of fish and that. And then, would you believe it, I sort of moved to check the food, and I knocked over my tin of cider. I've literally knocked my inches over, and there is absolutely nothing left.
Wounded, absolutely wounded. Well, it's been dark for a few hours now and the fish have definitely stopped showing. They showed for about maybe the first hour or so and it's definitely died off. The temperature has dropped as well. You can see in my breath it's definitely dropped. And it's weird actually because it was really sort of humid when that weather came in before, just as it was getting dark. We had a big sort of storm come in. I did a bit of an update just before it come in and yeah, absolutely poured down. It wasn't a thunderstorm, but it absolutely poured down and it was obviously quite mild and humid at the point. But now it's definitely dropped and that temperature has just slipped away. And because of that, everything is getting absolutely soaking wet. There's just this like really strange like misty, it's like a misty drizzly haze in the air where there's like sort of damp just trapped in the air, just sort of drifting around everywhere, and it's just absolutely soaking everything. There's so many slugs and snails and bits and bobs out and about tonight. It's very alive, to be honest, but on the fish front they've definitely stopped showing. So hopefully they've dropped down and they're having a little look around for some food. There's definitely a decent amount of grub out there for them. I just hope that they do get on it and we can have that bite we're after. The left-hand rod, which I've been roving around, I have recast a few times. Been getting some nice drops. On one occasion when I brought it in to recast it, it had a bit of attention from the crays. The hardened bait had been whittled slightly, but still presentable, and it was still balanced fine. So no issues there. Presentation's obviously perfect. So not going to worry too much about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to polish off tin number 3. And then I'm going to redo that rod again. I'm going to actually cast it further out because I did see some of the fish showing further out as I was getting sorted and set up. So I'm going to just fish it a bit further out for the rest of the night. And then in the morning I'm going to try and get up at a decent time, watch the water. If I see them show, I'll obviously try and cover them with that rod. Otherwise, hopefully the baited spot will do its business and produce a bite for me. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm going to polish off my tin, redo that rod, and I'm going to get in the bag and get a few hours sleep. And hopefully I get disturbed and have something in the night. If not, it'll be a morning update with a coffee, and I'll talk to you about what I'm going to do for the rest of the morning before I have to shoot off home. So anyway, until then, cheers, and here's to a fish. Good morning. It is a coffee update, I'm afraid. I haven't got one waiting in the retainer for a nice photo this morning. Unfortunately, it was a blank. A little bit disappointed. I really thought I was going to have one. You know, location is such a big part of fishing, and I definitely found them. Maybe not all of the fish, but definitely found a good amount of fish out in front of this area. They were showing, they seemed active, they seemed like they were moving, and I would have thought those fish would have been hungry because of using energy. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened, and I have woken up to a blank.
Now, we had a bit of a misty morning. I didn't end up getting it on camera, to be fair, because it quite shortly started to rain, and it rained a little bit in the night, and it's been raining quite a bit this morning. So luckily that's now pushed through and has given me a chance to get the camera out. But it's been a bit of a miserable morning, to be honest, but it has felt quite carpy. It did feel like there was a bite on the card, so I'm really surprised I haven't had one. But I've got until about mid-morning, so bite time on here tends to be sort of the first part of the day, so I'm still quite confident that one of the rods could go roaring off at any time and I could have one. So I am still confident, even though nothing happened in the night. Now is the prime time really for on here, so I do feel like there's a chance, and we might be able to have one. So, oh, would you believe one has just shown right in front, only about 20 yards out. I can't believe that. I'm gonna have to go and redo that rod, I think. Literally one has just rolled right in front of me. And on that note, I'm gonna go and move that rod, because if a fish is showing, it could be a feeding fish. So I'm gonna chuck the waders on, reel in that left rod, and I'm actually gonna drop it on where that fish had just shown, because that is an absolute, oh, can't ignore that. I'm gonna go and get that done. I'll speak to you in a sec. What an absolute result that was. I can't believe I was doing that update and that fish has literally just stuck its head out just to the left of the swim. It must have been about 20 yards out, so I had to stop it. I had to reel that rod in and get it on my money, because at the end of the day, those are the kind of things that can give you that bite. So yeah, I reeled that rod in. I just dried off the rig, nicked on a little mesh bag of the Maxi Cremix, and I've just literally flicked that out towards where that fish had just shown. I'm really, really happy with that, you know, I'm really confident. I mean, it could have been a fish moving through the swim, it might be up in the water, it might not be feeding, but it is definitely an opportunity, and it was so close to me, and I have caught close in on this lake. All my fish have come close range, fishing just sort of down the bottom of the shelf before it hits the bank of weed in the margin. Relatively short range, up to sort of 10 wraps or so. And that's where that's where all my fish have come from so far. So when that fish rolled, I thought that is absolutely prime. That was literally right on the area that I would normally be fishing, hadn't it been for obviously the fish showing out in the open last night, out in the open water, and I obviously found that clear spot. So anyway, I'm absolutely chuffed for that. You can probably tell I've kind of, my happiness is elevated slightly, and I sound a little bit chirpier now than probably when I was doing that initial update. But yeah, absolutely buzzing with that. So hopefully that turns into a bite and we can have one. But I've only got a few hours to go, so we'll see how it pans out. But yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. So you know what, I'm going to put the kettle on again, have another coffee, and sit and watch the water and just see if one of those rods goes. Because oh, I'm so confident right now, absolutely buzzing. Well, it is time to announce the latest winner for our competition a couple of videos back. It is also the end of the session. Now, you're probably wondering, why have I got a beard going on now? Because I was pretty clean shaved, well, I wasn't clean shaven, but it was definitely trimmed. And why have I got a different backdrop? And the reason for that is I actually had to finish that session after the last update. I got a call from the missus. She needed me back home way earlier than I planned. So unfortunately, I literally have to just pack everything down and get on the road. So it is what it is, but family will always come first. So unfortunately, I had to sort of round it up like this. But yeah, I did end up blanking, but hopefully it showed you a little bit about how I approached that venue and what potential it has. It's a lovely overgrown pit, big old pit, some lovely fish in there. So going forward through the summer, I'm going to hopefully put a few shorter sessions on there, mainly overnighters. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing on there. I think it suits it quite well, and hopefully we'll have a few fish along the way. But it is giveaway announcement time. So we ran a competition 2 videos ago. I think it was when we went to the Colne Valley, and quite a few of you got involved. We were giving away the Amino Smoke from DNA. We were giving away 2 bottles. So we had a bottle of the Bug and a bottle of the S7, and there were also going to be 2 winners. So I'm going to announce 2 winners now, and you guys are going to win those Amino Smokes. So what I've done is I've taken the link for that video, put it into a YouTube comment picker online, and basically it just randomly picked someone for me. So I've actually already done it prior to this because I needed to pick 2 winners, and I didn't know if I was going to have any decent signal when I come out today. So I've actually done it when I was at home, but I have got the names. So the first winner is Steve Martin, 1971. And to be fair, I'll read out what he said. He said, "Great video, guys, and a stern reminder, we need to keep the banks clean. I always add Bella-chan and a dash of squid brand fish sauce to my spod mix. It's a winner in the winter. In the warmer months, over my heavy fish meal, spicy liver, homemade boilies. Keep the content coming. You guys are the dogs danglies on Keep It Real vlogs." So thanks very much, mate. Glad you like the content. And yeah, you've won the liquids. And winner number 2 is Jason. I'm not quite sure how to say the surname. Buchanan 6794. Jason Buchanan 6794. I think that's how you pronounce it. Apologies if I've absolutely butchered that. But I'll put the names on the screen. And you put, "Yeah, well done for saying something about the rubbish. Hemp, sweet corn and crushed boilies are his go-to mix." So yeah, a lot of people, to be fair, said pellet boilie corn or pellet hemp and corn and boilie, that sort of thing. There's a lot of people that are saying quite similar to what we tend to use, which I don't know if that's a good thing, you know, because it's really effective and it works well, or whether, you know, maybe we all use the same thing and the fish are used to seeing it. Who knows? Bit of food for thought. But anyway, yeah, we had a lot of interaction, a lot of people got involved, but yeah, those guys have won. So fair play to Jason and fair play to Steve. You guys are the winners. So get in touch with us, drop us a DM, leave us a message, leave us a comment or whatever, and we'll obviously try and get those prizes sent out to you. Just a bit of a food for thought as well. If you do win, sometimes it can take us a bit of time to get it sent out, just because we've got full-time jobs, family, we're obviously out filming and doing loads of other stuff, so sometimes it can take a bit of time to get to you. So if it doesn't get to you straight away, don't worry, it will get to you. We have had a few people message on some of the competitions because it's taken a few weeks to get to them. I appreciate you want your kit, you want what you've won, definitely, but yeah, it does take a bit of time, so just a little bit of a reminder to just sort of sit tight and it will get to you. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Obviously it was a blank, bit of a shame, but it was a nice session. Hopefully you guys got something from it, even though I didn't catch anything. Hopefully it showed you sort of how I approach the venue, and obviously the tactics we use and have used to good effect on there last season, so I managed to have a few nice ones out there. But anyway, that is the end of the session. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, smash that subscribe button. That will also give you the chance to enter into the competitions. You do need to be a subscriber, and we run them every single month, so there's always a chance of winning some goodies. But anyway, get out there, enjoy your fishing, and I will see you next week on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. for another video. Until then, enjoy yourselves. See you in the next one.